my camera started on its own again. This is the knitting news for, I think it's the 15th week of 2025. From Knit Happens Teesside, which is a small knitting group that meets every week. And my name is Annie, which I usually forget to tell you. The other night at knitting, Jill was working with her mohair, and I remembered to take a picture. So she's not sure about the stripes, but I think when it all comes together, it'll be fine. And if it's too loud for her, I might wear it instead. Helen did tell you that she was pulling back the shawl that's a bit like that, the Garn Studio one. Now it's 4-ply or fingering weight with a mohair lace through it, and we all know that pulling back mohair lace is not the ideal thing to do. And she was doing very well with it, and she'd wound it on a wool winder. A ball wind, wool winder, ball winder. Anyway, what had happened was the centre of the ball had jumped out and got ravelled up with the outside of the ball and made a big mess. So Helen spent the evening undoing knots. But she did manage. I think a lot of us might have just snapped a bit off and left it at that. Fee is in France, but she's been busy and she's been crocheting, and that's not something that she normally does, so well, I think she normally does now because it's very big, isn't it? Now it's got a bit of a wibbly edge, but crochet does that. I think it'll just block flat, and that's got some mohair in it, and she thinks that might be part of her problem. I was working on Halu by Caitlyn Hunter, and what happens with this pattern is you do the yoke, which is a lace pattern with knobbles that will have to be, some of them might have to be pulled out when it blocks. It's doing that thing where the bobbles go on the inside. This yarn did have bits of, well, there's a name for it, but I can't remember what it is. But it's really just bits of hay straw, or like woody little bits of vegetation, should we say. So there's the lace panel. This is a V-neck, front and back, and then it has the shoulder sections, and then there's the yoke, and then there's the short row shaping to make the back higher than the front, which is what I am doing at the moment. So that's the back, and that's the front. So there is already, I think I might have done more rows than she recommended, which I usually do because, well, in the past there hasn't been enough, not necessarily on hers, on someone else's. I'm a little bit round-shouldered with all the things that I do, and I think that I should have a little bit more. So I might do a couple more rows than it suggests, but then the only thing is when I go back across the front, it's going to be a different colour. Everything else blends gradually, and I wouldn't want a stark line across the front. I am that fussy. So there are a couple of little mistakes where, I mean, I really like the lace knitting. The only thing was I had a complicated row when I was at knitting the other night, so when you're talking or listening to people talk and trying to concentrate as well, you go very, very, very quiet. And you know, if you do a mistake in your knitting, do you do what I do? Because I sometimes think, well, it doesn't look that bad, and I've fudged it, like just knit two together or made a loop, a yarn over on the following row rather than the previous row. And I just think, well, if it shows when I wear it, I'll just put a stitch in it and make it look right. And do you know what? that never happens. I always wear things, and if there's a tiny mistake, it never really bothers me. So that's that. So that's going really well, but now I'm past the fun bit, and it'll just be plain knitting. But that'll be alright. I'll be able to concentrate on it, won't I? Right, that's all the knitting. I am wearing... I'm not sure of the name of it, but it was designed by Anna Canalis, who does a lot of lace work designs. It's a little bit longer at the back. It's rolling up anyway, isn't it? And it has the design on the back as well, which is something I always appreciate. Right, the other day, Helen and I, on Monday, went to Reeth, to the Threshing Barn sale. The Threshing Barn is closing down, and she was selling off, well, everything at a discount, but she was also selling off ex-display models of spinning wheels and wool winders and things like that. So I did a little bit of filming, and we had a fun day out, as you will see.
I hope your car's alright.
Oh, the road's just giving way, please.
I can't even film.
That's a nice bridge.
Oh, I should find some more than that.
Mobile balls of yarn.
Look at them.
We're not far from Reeth now, about 2 miles. Oh, actually,
Oh, there's a sheep on the roof up there.
Here, on these houses, you'll see plaques, and they're made by the local potter. Quite a few houses have them. Let's see if I can find one. My brother has one outside his house. You see here, there,
Oh yeah.
they're all made by the local potter.
Oh,
And that's his signature, the pattern around it. He made one for me. I had to leave mine behind, obviously, because it had number 18 on it. We'll drive around the village because we're early. She won't be open yet. What a lovely spot. So that closed down the copper. So you're actually, and the village bakery is round the corner. Is it open today?
It is a nice wheel.
So my purchases were... Now, I haven't bought any knitting yarn that's ready prepared this year, but I have bought some fluff. But I bought this copy of Ply magazine, which is a really good magazine. I might just have to subscribe to, because I don't see it very often, and it's very informative, and I think it's a quarterly magazine. I haven't read all of it, but I've started reading it back to front. Don't know why, but it's a good one. Now, this is me floof. Oodles of floof. I just love this colour. And behind that, there's 2 of these, which are just gorgeous pastels. So I bought 2 of these, which are called, is that the name of the colour? Yeah, this is the Lone Hydrangea, which is for me to spin, and it's 80% merino and 20% sari silk. I just love the combo of the acid green and the shocking pink. It's just fabulous. So I bought quite a few of those so that I can make a garment. Spinny cords for interchangeables, Knit Pro interchangeables, so the end spin, which is quite ergonomic and nicer to just makes it easier. Things don't twist. So I bought quite a few of them. Can't remember how much, I'm not counting now. And this is called Reeth Community Garden, and it's 80% Corriedale, 20% tweed tops, so it's got little flecks of tops through it. And I would say that this will be kind of easier to spin because you can feel it's more grippy, if you know what I mean. That's them, and them. Now, there was a little bit of controversy and a bit of a swift shenanigan went on, which I'm going to tell you about. So I bought this, well, I picked it up, and I had this pile of fleece and bits and bobs all in a little pile right at the very back of the shop because Helen was looking at spinning wheels. And I kept wandering off while we were waiting for Helen was waiting to have a trial. So I picked this up because I'd already picked this up. These are just things I didn't have because I've got everything else. So I bought things I didn't have. Helen bought some similar things and a wheel. So Helen's, this is my wool winder, and this is Helen's. I haven't used mine yet, and because we've been there quite a while, as soon as Helen was done, I said, right, come on then, let's go, because I really did need something to eat and coffee, and we found a good place to go and do that too. So I said, oh, I don't need the box, it's fine, I don't need the box. And then when I got home and I looked at it and I thought, how do you fix it to the table? See the ridge? Well, in the box that Sarah had offered me was this, which clamps it to the table to make it fit for purpose. So she posted it that very same day when I rang her up, and it arrived the next day, which was fantastic service. Now, I can't recommend her shop particularly because it's closing down, but what she's doing is moving on to pastures new and going back to her true love, which is ceramics and pottery. So she's opening up in June, and it's ceramics, as in S-A-R-A, Amix. And that's at the Brougham Hall near Penrith. I dare say we may have a trip over that way at some point. So that's all I did spend quite a bit. Wasn't ridiculous, but you know, I don't go to as many wool shows as I used to. So our correspondent Helen wrote up a little report about the shenanigans in the wool shop, and here it is. The wily swifter was found guilty of causing a disturbance in a wool store, wilfully unwoolly and being visibly miserable, contrary to the Wool and Woolens Act of 1698. A bustling store was brought to a silent halt. Only the sound of niddy-noddies and shuttles dropping to the floor by horrified customers could be heard above the gentle hum of a sleepy North Yorkshire village. Lazy Kates were stirred into action as the fibre fiend was surrounded by fists clenched around wool tops, ready to grasp her haul. Sour-faced, she retreated without shame, whilst the genuine members of the fibre community shunned her brazen attempt at woolly skullduggery. That was so good I had to read it out. Now, I had my little pile, which was kind of an obvious purchase pile, because there was a couple of pieces of equipment, a couple of needle things, and I bought the thing I was telling you about last week, an adapter with two springs to put on my Ashford Traveller. It does make plying better apparently, so I went ahead and bought one. It does make setting the tension for normal spinning a little bit different, but I'm doing okay with it. So this nice little pile of my bits and bobs was just put to one side, otherwise I'd have been standing holding them for quite a while. And I went up and down the shop, and I went and I got a little bit more floof. And when I came back, the Swift had disappeared. And I was undecided about buying it. So I said to Helen, "Where's the Swift gone?" And she looked around and saw this sour-faced lady at the counter holding my Swift. Well, it wasn't mine yet. So I said to the lady, "Well, if you really want it, buy it, because I was quite undecided and I haven't really decided whether I want to buy it or not. Probably based on how much it was going to cost me. But when I think about it, well, I'll show you my other Swift." So this is my original Swift, which Tim bought me one Christmas, and it's kind of like, it's not very strong. It's beautiful. It reminds me of Tales of the Unexpected somehow. Anyway, it's lovely and beautiful, but if there's a heavy skein it can't handle it and it slips around, and I have a bobble on the top there so that I can push the bobble, because it'll just come back up on its own, so I have to push the bobble down. Anyway, I really did need a Swift. But back to the actual what was happening. So she was standing at the counter with this I'm probably knocked the microphone, sorry about that. Looms, Sweden. So she was standing at the counter with this, and Helen said, "Excuse me, that's my friend's Swift there, I think that you've got. Did you get it from the back here, off this pile?" And, gave it me back. She said, "Oh, there you go." And I said, "Well, actually, I was undecided about whether I was going to buy it or not. So if you really want it, you can buy it." Being the reasonable kind of knitting person. And her reply was, "Oh, no, I'm not going to be called awful." That wouldn't be because you are, though, is it? Would it? Because it did seem a little bit deliberate. And actually, when we went for coffee, we saw her at the counter and she didn't say hello. And then the man in the coffee shop put us on the end of her table. And she wasn't very happy about that either. I did have a lovely chat with a couple of ladies from the York Knitting Guild of Knitters, Spinners, Weavers and Dyers. I don't know if knitters is included in that. I saw it included in something this week and I can't remember what it was. So I'm really glad now that I've bought this, because I really did need one that'll handle more. And I have a plastic wool winder that copes quite well with things, but it was nice to get that one too. But I haven't had a go yet. As for spinning, This is a little sample of something I have to skein up. So when you learn to spin, and you do a lot less plying. I've found that plying is the most difficult part for me at the moment, and my yarn keeps snapping. So my skeins have got some knots in, and I don't care. I mean, when you join wool on, I just knot it on. But you don't want too many knots in one skein, and I would care if I bought a ball of wool and it had a load of knots in. So I'm trying to not have knots. And I'd got so exasperated with it all that I left that bit, and then I had enough left to make this on the bobbin. I'll have to find, I think I remember where the stall was, and it was at Newcastle. But I've done something right. Very right, because it feels. Can you hear that? It's very squishy. So it's delicate greens, and it's got a little bit of lilac through it and a paler colour. And it's so lovely, it made a heart at the top. That's just me over twisting it. Anyhow, I've done something right, and I feel like it's very nice. Very, very nice. I think I might make a ranunculus with it if there's, well, I think there will be enough when it's all spun, because ranunculus is a little bit, use what you like, and it looks quite good, doesn't it? Whatever you use. So that's the spinning. So I am being quite well behaved with my spinning and not jumping from one floof to another, and sticking with drama. So I'm being quite good with my spinning and not flitting from one fleece to another, because actually it's a bit difficult to do that, isn't it? Because you need to spin 2 bobbins and then ply them, and you would run out of bobbins, and that would, now at Reeth they were selling extra bobbins, but I didn't buy any because I don't think I need them. I'll spin and ply, and unless you're going to spin daft amounts of lots of different things, then you don't need more bobbins. Well, that's my opinion at the moment. I suppose it could change. Right then. I am drinking Rington's Herbal Confusion, which is called Defence. And do you know the weekend that I had with Kelly Oliver Dougal at Nottingham, Let Women Speak? Well, she had a cold all weekend and I didn't catch it, so I thought that was quite good. And I could even put it down to the tea if I liked. Yes, I've got 2 tea bags in here. One's been used already, and the other one was full strength. It just adds to it. Right, pets. I probably told you a lady had come to see the cat. On Sunday, the child snatcher arrived to take Marble away. No, it's the cat rescue lady, but she does look a bit like the child snatcher. I think she's a crazy cat lady who runs around after cats all of her spare time and has absolutely no time no time for herself. She arrived and I said, oh, do you want to look at Daisy while you're here? So she went into the kitchen and Daisy just hissed at her, which she doesn't normally do. So I don't know if Daisy remembers her trauma from being rescued in the first place. I mean, she mightn't she? Anyway, Marble has gone to a new home, and the new owner's messaged me a couple of times, and she seems quite responsible. I'm sure Marble will be very happy there. It took 2 days for Daisy to come out of the kitchen further than the kitchen doorway. She has been into the rest of the house downstairs, but she nervously, cautiously looks around and thinks that Marble's still there. Hello. But she is looking a lot more content and she's starting to relax. So we're getting there. And she's back in her cat bed. I've put it near the dogs and just out of the kitchen so she feels comfortable. But it'll just take some time. So I think that's about it for our shenanigans this week, and the drama and the knitting and the knots and the breaking of the, what was it? The Woolens Act of 1698, which does actually exist, but it doesn't involve being miserable and pinching swifts at the counter. It's more about shipping wool. So that's it now. More news, maybe, next week.
Oh, went to Oldham, got some yarn.